He sat on his Harley under the fading orange sky, engine growling softly like a restless beast waiting for orders. His leather vest bore the flaming skull insignia of the Hells Angels, a name that made even grown men think twice before crossing his path. He was known as Rex, a man whose eyes told stories of brawls, booze, and broken roads. He had seen it all, death, betrayal, loneliness, but never tenderness. That part of him had died years ago, or so he believed. Just as he was about to light his last cigarette of the day, he heard a small, shaky voice from behind. "Mister, can you help me, please?" He turned his head slowly, expecting another beggar or troublemaker. Instead, he saw a little girl, no older than 7, standing in a faded pink dress, holding a crumpled $5 bill in her tiny hand. Her shoes were worn, her eyes tired but glimmering with something pure, something he hadn't seen in decades: innocence. Speech balloon. Before the story continues, if you believe kindness and second chances can change the world, please take a second to like this video, share it with someone who needs a little hope, and subscribe to our channel Kindness Tales, because every act of good deserves to be remembered. Speech balloon. The girl stood there trembling, clutching that $5 bill like it was her whole world. "Please," she whispered, "I need your help." Her voice cracked with fear and exhaustion. Rex frowned, his rough, tattooed hands tightening around his bike handle. He didn't do help. He did bars, noise, and the open road. But something in her eyes made him pause. The world had been cruel to him, and he could see the same cruelty in the shadows behind her. He sighed deeply and muttered, "What do you want, kid?" She pointed toward a small, rusted trailer at the far end of the lot. The windows were cracked, and smoke, or maybe dust, puffed out from the broken vents. "My mommy's inside," she said softly, her lips trembling. "She's really sick. I can't wake her up. I tried calling someone, but the phone's dead. I thought maybe you could help me take her to the hospital." Rex's jaw tightened. The biker world taught him to keep walking. But at that moment, something old and buried stirred in his chest, a memory of his own daughter, gone since she was 5, taken in a car crash he blamed himself for. He had lost his world that day and lost himself after. He looked down at the $5 bill in her hand. She was trying to pay him, a Hell's Angel, for help. He turned off the bike and followed her toward the trailer. The closer he got, the stronger the smell of cheap alcohol and sickness became. Inside, on a torn couch, lay a pale woman, motionless. The little girl knelt beside her mother, brushing her hair gently. "Mommy, please wake up. I brought someone who can help." Rex knelt down, checked her pulse, and felt the faintest beat. She was alive but barely. "She needs an ambulance," he said quietly. He reached into his vest pocket and pulled out his phone. For the first time in years, his hands shook, not from anger, but from fear that he might be too late. He called emergency services, then sat down beside the girl. She looked up at him with those big, wet eyes and asked softly, "Do you think she'll be okay?" He didn't know how to answer. The road had shown him too many endings that weren't okay. But he placed his rough hand gently over hers and said, "We're gonna try, kid. We're gonna try." Minutes felt like hours. When the sirens finally echoed in the distance, the girl's small fingers wrapped around Rex's thick, tattooed arm. She wouldn't let go. Paramedics rushed in and carried her mother away. The girl tried to follow, but one of the medics stopped her. "We'll take care of your mom, sweetheart. You can come later." Tears rolled down her face as she turned back to Rex. "Can you come with me?" she whispered. "I don't have anyone else." Those words hit him harder than any fight ever could. He thought of the day he lost his daughter, the sound of the ambulance, the flashing lights, the helplessness. He had been on the other side of this once. He couldn't walk away again. Rex followed the ambulance to the hospital, his roaring Harley riding behind like a guardian beast. When they arrived, he waited in the corridor while the doctors worked. The girl sat beside him, her head resting on his arm, whispering small prayers to herself. Hours passed before a nurse finally came out, smiling faintly. "She's stable now. You got her here just in time." The girl's face lit up like sunrise. She turned to Rex and hugged him tightly. For a moment, he froze, then slowly placed his hand on her back. It was the first human warmth he had felt in years. Over the next few days, Rex kept visiting the hospital. The little girl, whose name was Emily, always greeted him with a smile. Her mother, Sarah, began recovering. She was shy but grateful, shocked to learn that a Hell's Angel had saved her life. "Why'd you help us?" she asked one afternoon, her voice weak but sincere. Rex looked away, his eyes misty. "Because once, someone needed to help me, and no one did." Emily giggled softly, holding out the same crumpled $5 bill. "I still owe you, mister." He smiled for the first time in years and pushed it back into her hand. "Keep it, kid. You already paid me more than money ever could." When Sarah was finally discharged, Rex drove them both home. The trailer was gone, the fire department had deemed it unsafe. He helped them find a small apartment through an old biker friend who owed him a favor. Over time, they became the family he never thought he'd have again. Emily would sit on the bike and call him Uncle Rex, while Sarah always made him coffee that tasted like peace. Months later, Rex quit the club. He handed over his vest, the skull and wings that once defined him. "I've ridden enough roads," he said. "Now I just want to ride toward something that matters." Years passed, and Rex's life transformed quietly. He became the man who fixed bikes for single moms and brought food for kids in his neighborhood. He still wore leather, still had the tattoos, but his heart had changed. The same heart that once carried rage and regret now carried purpose. And every night, when he'd look at the old $5 bill framed on his shelf, a reminder of the day a little girl bought his soul back with kindness, he'd whisper to himself, "She saved me more than I saved her." Speech balloon. If this story touched your heart, please don't scroll away, hit that like button, share it with someone who believes in goodness, and subscribe to Kindness Tales for more real stories of humanity and hope. Speech balloon. Speech balloon. And before you go, comment below, what's the smallest act of kindness that changed your life? Your story might inspire someone else to believe again. Speech balloon.